Now, we are looking at bank reconciliation statements today. And I took us back to where we started or where we ended last time on the cash book. We've seen the three types of cash book we have. We have a single column, we have double column, and then we have a triple or three column cash book. And as I said, the difference is just on the amounts columns. Like three means shows that it will have about three amount columns. The first one will be for discounts, and the second one will be for cash, while the third one will be what? The bank. Now, the main aim of cash book is to recognize all the cash receipts and cash payments. Put that down. The reason why we are preparing cash book is to enable us to capture all our cash receipts and also all the cash payments. So that will enable you to take in all the cash you received and also treat all the payments you have made. And cash receipts. Look at what happened here. This is a format of cash. Eh? The main purpose is to recognize all the cash receipts and all the payments you made. Now, and also say that in the cash book, which have the two sides, debit and credit side, please put it down, that the debit side of the cash book take care of all the receipts. Debit side, this debit side, all the receipt is treated well on the debit side of your cash book. While your credit side of the cash books is meant for what? All payments. All payments. Payment may be for operationals, payment may be for fixed asset, whatever thing you pay money for, you must have to recognize it and treat them on the credit side of your what? Of your cash book. Please pay attention this way. Is that captured? That debit side of the cash book is to record all your receipts, all the receipt, all the money that you received will pass through your debit side of the cash book, while all the payments you make must be treated on the credit side of your cash book. And you could remember, okay, let me leave that one. When we get to there, we'll explain. Now, today we're looking at bank reconciliation statement. What is bank statement? Write it. What is bank statement? Bank statement. Bank statement is the statements that shows the customer transactions and the bank. Bank statements is a statement that shows the customer's transactions with where? The bank. Have you ever seen bank statement? Have you ever seen bank statement? You have seen it. Now, if you look at bank statement, it's just your own relationship with what? With the bank. The bank you pay, the money you pay to the bank, and what the bank is paying out on your behalf. Are you with me? Is what your bank statement will show. That's again. So that's why we were saying that the bank statement is what? Is that statement that shows the customer transaction with what? With the bank. You lost the money to the bank capture it, and you instruct the bank to pay the money out. The bank will pay. So at the end of the time, or at the end of the month, the bank will show you what you pay in and what they paid, help you to pay out. And that's what? That's bank statement. Then what is bank reconciliation statement? That is the second one. Bank reconciliation statements. Bank reconciliation statement can be defined as a statement that is prepared to reconcile the disagreements of the cash book and that of the bank statements. Is that again? There are two important words that we have to yield in that statement. Look up here. We are saying that bank reconciliation statement is a statement prepared to do what? Number one, to do what? To reconcile. Is that okay? Now, you reconcile. What are you reconciling? You are reconciling what is what agreement. The agreement between what? Cash book and that of what? Bank. Beautiful. The earlier you understand that principle, better for you. Because I have told you the difference between cash book and what? Bank what? Statements. Look up, please. Now, cash book is maintained in your office. Am I right? While bank statement is maintained in the bank. When you receive bank statement, under normal circumstances, both your cash and bank supposed to be what? Supposed to be the same. But it's not always the same. Are you with me? That thing that makes it not to be the same is what is that? Disagreement. What we call discrepancy. Right? Either disagreement or what? Discrepancy. Now that discrepancy would or must have been caused by some things. Are we together? So what we're saying that the bank, this is a cash book and this bank statement. So we want to do what? We want to check whether the cash book correspond with what? With bank statement. That process of checking whether the cash book correspond with bank statement is what we call what? In the literal language, what is reconciliation? Yes. Two persons having issues. You understand? You want me to bring the two people together to resolve the problem. Am I right? That's exactly what bank reconciliation statement does. So, you can write this down. The business or individual will deposit or lodge their money into the bank. That's again. The business or individual will deposit or lodge their money into bank, and bank will receive and such records such money. Full stop. The bank at the end of the month prepare statement showing customers transaction with them. Showing what? The customers transactions with them. Full stop. This statement is known as bank statements. The customer transactions with them. Is that okay? Right. During the bank reconciliation statements, during what? Bank reconciliation statements, all items, right? All items on the debit side of cash book. Is that again? All items on the debit side of the cash book is cross-checked against all items on the credit side of bank statements. Yes. Full stop. Also, all the items on the credit side of the cash books are cross-checked against items on the debit side of bank statements. All the items on the credit side of cash book is cross-checked against items on the debit side of the bank statement. That again. Look up. See this arrow. Look up here. Look up here. This is type 1, this is bank statement. Are you with me? All the items here on this debit side is cross-checked on the debit side, credit side of the bank statement. And all the items on the credit side of your cash book is cross-checked what? Against the items of what? On the debit side of bank statement. Now, whatever items you now found in either that is not in either cash book or the bank statement is what will take us to do what? To reconciliation. Is that okay? Now you write the next one. Items that causes discrepancies or disagreements. What are those items that normally cause the discrepancies or the disagreements between the cash book and the bank statements? You can write this. The followings, right? The followings are the items that normally causes disagreements between cash book and bank statements. Number one, unpresented checks. Number two, uncredited checks. Number three, dishonored check. Number four, standing order. Number five, interest to dividend. Number six, bank charges. Number seven, direct credits. Number eight, direct debits. Number nine, bank errors. Then number ten, overcasting stroke undercasting. Okay, let's me take them one. Are you with me now? The following items are those items that actually create that disagreement between banks and what and the cash book. Cash book is operated in the office while bank statement is operated in the bank. You understand? At the end of the month, we normally get what we call bank statement. And most especially those of us that maintain current accounts. Are you with me? Current account in particular, they will give you bank statement at the end of the month. And when they give you that bank statement, we are expected to find out whether your bank statement tally with your what? With your balances. And of course, sometimes even when you don't even have bank statement, your alerts sometimes create some doubt. Are we together? Before you look at you pay some money, either bank overdrafted to you or whatever thing. When they send you alert, the alert will not be tally with what you expected to have in that account. You understand? Sometimes you go to the bank, say, sorry, the alert they gave me is not what I'm supposed to get in the bank. Then also, they are still doing the reconciliation with the bank. So, the following items, I'm going to just briefly explain them, and I'll show you how you are going to treat them. Number one is what you call unpresented checks. What are these unpresented checks? Look up here. I use illustration to explain this. First use. I give you a check on the 20, let me say it, I give you on 29th of this month. I said, go to the bank. And then you say, okay, I will present this check next month because I don't need the money. You understand? In my own book, I already written out that money. I expected that you will go to the bank and present that check to clear your money. You understand? As long as the bank, the check is with you, they have not presented it. There is no how my own book will carry with the bank. Are we together? Yes. I already issued the check to you and I written up my book that I paid this person the check. But this person just give the check with it. Say I will take it maybe next month or next few days to come. You understand? As long as I have issued the checks in my own book, that check is written, but in the bank will not be reflected. So that checks is called what? Unpresented check, because the person that issued the check did not present it for clearing in the bank. And we will see the standing in the bank as what? And the check that don't come to the bank. Sometimes we call the bank and say, sorry, I issue a check like this to this person. I say, no, he has not come. You understand? In my own book, it's there, the bank. And since it is only your own book, they store how your cash book and the bank statement will do what? That's what you need to do. Bring it to reconcile. The other one is uncredited checks. It may not only be check, it may be cash. For example, now that people are trying to pay their money to the bank, and eventually somebody has prepared teller to come pay money. But when you go to the bank, the queue is too much that the person cannot do what, cannot contain. He has to come back with the money. You understand? Or something they can drop it with the bank. Like in a big organization, we cannot bring back because of risk. We can box it in the what? With the bank. Now, although you box the money with the bank have not counted the money. As long as they have not counted the money, they will not credit your account. But in your own office, you just assume that you have moved some money to the bank. Are we together? That money is already there in the bank, but the bank have not counted it to accept and capture it to your what? Into your system. What? Uncredited checks or cash. This cash. Now, the next one is what? Dishonor checks. You are going to write something here. Why some checks are dishonor? Please write dishonor checks. Find it. Don't take a dishonor checks, so I will not forget it. A dishonor checks is a check that the bank refused to pay. Is a check that the bank does what? Refuse to pay. Due to the following reasons. That's objective question. Wish. Now, I want to give you those reasons why checks are dishonored, rejected to be paid by bank. The other issue the check to somebody, and the person takes the check to the bank, and the bank says, well, we can't pay. What are those reasons? Do you hear what I said? I actually issue you check to take to the bank, but when you get to the bank says, sorry, we cannot pay you. You say, why? This check is given to me by the owner to check. They say, sorry, man, sorry, sir, we can't pay you. What are the reasons why bank rejected the check? Number one, alterations without countersign. Write it. Alterations. Alteration without what? Without countersigning. Alterations. Alterations without what? Countersigning. You know what it means? Now, I want you to write 100,000 naira. No profit. 100,000 naira. But mistakenly write what? 150. Later, say, oh, I made mistake. Are you with me? And I do what? This one. Or do what? I go like this and go and write 100,000 naira without signing this. Because by signing this, that you are the one that made mistake. We call what? Counter sign. Are you with me? Now, if this object should be honored, it means that I have to sign my signature where I want, where to that alteration. So when the check is altered, without the check owner doing what? Countersign that alteration. Bank will never pay that money. But they will not honor that check. That check will be what is honored. Number two, when there is insufficient fund right now, insufficient fund. What is the insufficient fund? You don't have enough money. For first use, if you are to work in the bank, I have only 50,000 naira in my bank. I need to check of 100,000 naira. Would you pay? It means that what I have here cannot pay. Not pay. That's all. So when the fund is insufficient, the bank will not honor that change. Is that okay? Number three, when there is a difference between words and figure, words and figure. You understand what that means? Now that means that I have here 50,000 naira in figure, but the word is 60,000 naira. The two things does not rhyme. You understand? I have words 50,000 naira, but you come to so figure is 50,000 naira. Then you come to words. Instead of 50,000 naira, you mistakenly write what 60,000 naira. So the bank will look at the figure and look at the word. Once the figure and words does not rhyme, then they will not pay you. So when there's the difference between figures and words, that is honored. Number four, reasons. When there is irregular signature. When there's what? Irregular signature. That's why that when you want to open an account, thank God for mobile apps that most people do not even appear in the bank again. In those days, if your account is saving account, you need to go with your passbook. Before you withdraw the money, you have to sign, then you have to screen and look at that your signature. But these days, someone breached because of what? You can sit down and spend all your money without getting to the bank. And most people too, they don't even use check, they don't even know check. I'm surprised whether this man doesn't know what you call check. Because this era, you have a very short cut of getting money without getting to the bank. You understand? But what I'm trying to say is that when your signature you sign, that's why that before you go to open an account, people will sit down and learn and practice signature. Because if you go to the bank and sign something else, they will tell you, God, this money not be your own. You say that my money now, sign down to prove that it's your money. Yeah? So when there's irregular signature, maybe the way you sign the first one, there are so many some of us sign irregular signatures. And you need to be very specific in your signature because a point will come, a time will come that there's a place you go to sign. If that your signature isn't tally, you get issue. I sign this one, this is my signature. Right? This dash under here very key, very important. Now, if I want to go and sign again and sign like this, does that resemble my signature? It's not. Because this here is not there. They will look at this, oh, that is not your signature. So whatever sign you sign in your signature, indicated in your signature, must be what must be regular. So once your signature is irregular on the check, the bank will do what? Refused, rejects, with honor paying that check. So irregular signature will what? Create also cause dishonored check. Not only that, when there is different in dates, dating. For example, now, this is 2023, January, look up here. This is 01, 2025, please look up. This is 25/01, 2020. And this is 25/01, 2020. Which of these? This one is correct because it's correct. But if you make mistake as at today, and issue a check that carry this date, you will not pay it. Because this one is taking them back to 2022. It could be mistake. And that's why when we office that they hear that the people are very careful in whatever transaction they do what they sign, because you can mistakenly do what and use 2022 instead of 2023. You understand? So when they different in dates, the bank will do what? Will dishonor the check. Finally, the last but not the least, write it. When the check is stale, stale. What does that mean? Any idea? Yes. Oh, like how? Like we soak water. Ah, no, soaking water doesn't mean anything. Now, what it means is the check have a lifespan. Are you with me? 6 months is the lifespan of every check. One that check passes 6 months is what is dead. That's what we call what? Dead. That check is dead. The bank cannot honor it unless the owner have to revalidate the check. Yes. Yeah? Used. I don't know. I don't understand. No, don't check. Dudes. Yes. Hey, you need to go for your research. Unless, okay, do you understand what I mean here? So when the check is time and expired, the bank will not do what? Will not honor it again. You understand? And the other one is that when the check is not even dated, the bank will not pay. Is that okay? So these are the things that do what? That the make bank do what? Dishonored what? Dishonored checks. Let's move on. Another thing that causes discrepancies and differences or disagreements between the bank and the cash book and the bank statement is what we call standing order. What is standing order? Standing order is like you have instructed your bank that every month, please do what? Pay this person. Give once off instruction. Are you with me? And sometimes you may even forget that you give that instruction to the bank will be acting on that instruction. Are you with me? Maybe he said that please pay A and B every month 10,000 naira. You have dropped that instruction with the bank. Since you are already instructed, it will not be coming to your card every month. You understand? It is only the bank that wants that information. And as long as bank have that information, they will be deflecting your bank balances. When you look at your balance, you say, why my balance is going down by 10,000 naira? Now you forgot that you already instructed bank to do what every month you should pay individual. Is that together? Are you together? Yes. Now that comes under what? Standing order. They are giving standing instructions to the bank. Now the next one is what? Interest or dividends. Now if you look at your bank, you see that sometimes the bank gives you some interest. Am I right? Have you ever received interest from your account? It may be small, but that's interest. You don't want to know whether it's big or small. But once you receive it, it's what? That's interest. You understand? That interest will not be showing your value in the office. It can only be placed, showing in the bank statement. And as long as that one is in the bank statement and you don't have it in the office, it will cause what? Disagreement. The next one is what? Bank charges. You drop 50,000 naira in the bank will get 50 naira. Electronic charge or levy. And then at the end of the month, they say, Oga, bank no be for Christmas. So then if I for Christmas, that means that how we going to pay our staff? They take what you call what? COT. Not only that, any transaction you do in the bank, they take what? VAT, value added tax. And all those things there, it's not in your book, it's only in the bank. As long as you only have them in the bank, they show how your cash book and the bank will do what? Will rhyme. Is that okay? Then the next one is what? Is the direct credit or what you call direct transfer. And this what is even very rampant these days. People don't carry cash up and down. All that they need to do, they want to pay their tithe. What do? Just pick their mobile phone, then transfer it. And you go to some churches on Sundays, you see POS line up. Am I right? People just direct transfer their money. Sometimes people use their mobile app and do the transfer. And all those things can only be seen in the bank without you what seeing in your bank, in your cash book in the office. Are you with me? And that also causes discrepancies. And same thing with the direct debit. Direct debit, like the COT now, is direct debit. Am I right? And some other things. And then eventually there are some errors, sometimes being created by the bank. You understand? And all those errors need to be corrected. That brings us to reconciliation. And then this one is that either by the time you pay teller, just like you come to pay the money, you remember what happened the other time when we were counting the money, you already feel the cash count. That's the same thing that happened in the bank. You already feel the cash count, I mean teller, by maybe 1 point something million. But when the bank run the money, it's called the money is not what it's not complete as they want to record in the teller. You understand? And that will either be your what you undercasting, or sometimes when the account they see more. Are you with me? And that means that you know what you either overcasting or undercasting. Undercasting means that the money you have is what is less, while this one is what is more. So it will cause what discrepancies. Is that okay? Beautiful. Now let's move on. The last question was let's move on the methods of bound reconciliation. Methods of bound reconciliation. There are basically two methods of what? Of doing bound reconciliation. Two methods. Please, are we together? There are two methods. And in the exams or in the process of you want to advance and learn more, you should use these two. They are all the same. The only difference is that one start with balance as the card book and ended with balance as the bank statement. Why method two? Okay, let's write this. There are basically how many methods? Method one. Method one. Method one is starting with balance as the what? Cash book. End at balance as the bank. Eh? This method one, you start with what? You start with balance as the cash book and end at what? At balance as the bank statement. That's method one. We're going to work it. Method two. Method two is starting with balance as the bank statement. End with balance as the cash book. These are two methods. Method one is that we start with what? Balance as per. Look at this word here. This way our target balance as per what? As per cash book. While the method one or method two is what? Balance as the what? Bank statement. Is that again? Let me explain to you. Now, if you remember when we are doing cash book, when we are doing cash book, let me just use a little illustration here. I can do this now. Okay. Let me use a little illustration here so that you can appreciate what we are doing now. Now, this is cash book. Please pay attention. Debit and what? And credits. Eh? This is debit and credit. This is what called bank statements. Debits and what? Credits. We're talking about balances. You receive tithe and offering of how much? 100,000 naira on a particular day. You receive another retreat money of 50,000 naira. Is that okay? Then you receive what again? What again? That means what do you receive money from? Sources of fund for the church. Power of ladies. Let me use special program. Eh? How much? 450. Because I told them cash book, David said to recognize all the income. Am I right? Now, out of this money, what do we do? We paid, wow. What do we do? We pay rents. How much? Let me say 120. Is that okay? Then you do what again? You bank 300,000 naira to the bank. Am I right? Then you buy stationery of how much? 10,000 naira. If you look at, if you look at this side and this side, you know that one side is higher than the other. Is that okay? Is that okay? Beautiful. Let's do it and confirm it. This is 0 and 0 and 0. This is 0. This is 10. This is 2 and what? 600,000 naira. Is that okay? Now, if you add this one now, let me put it here. This is 0 and what? And 0. And this is 0. And this is 3 and what? 4. 30. This side is higher than this. So what do? We have to find the difference between the two. I said what? Balance what? Say carry down, brought down. Carry down. What would be the difference? The difference between this and this should be 170. Am I right? Is that okay? Now, if you now sum it up, that would be 0 and 0, 0, this is 0, and this is 6. All right. The account is closed. That means balance. Then balance brought. So that's it. Which one was 120? 120 is 3 now. This plus is 3 now. Okay, you can do that. Balance brought down is how much? It's different. 170. Am I right? This is, please listen to me because of what I want to say now. I have told you that there are two types of preparing or method of preparing bank reconciliation statement. The first one is when you start with the balance as per cash book. You understand? Yes, if I to prepare reconciliation using balance as per cash book, which of these figures are we going to use? You understand my question? Yes. Brilliant students. Fast. The question is this. Looking at bank reconciliation statement, we want to start as balance as per cash book. Which of these balance do we use as our balance as per cash book? Are you sure? Are you sure? Yes. Please. That is very clear and that's very key. This is the only balance you are going to use. So if I'm using the balance statement as I'm doing bank reconciliation, starting with balance as per cash book, This is my balance as at the end of that month. Is that okay? Yes. Now, the same thing is applicable to the bank statement. When you collect bank statement, at the end of that bank statement, at the end of that month, you see your balance here. That balance at the end of the month is the balance as per that bank statement. Let's move on. I hope you enjoy the class. Eh? This is why I've done this now. Who's the person that's listening to my class? Where are you coming from? I just want to see the all right. So you can see now, in exam, they will give you figure on that book. They want to give you figure on the what? Bank statement. And both of them will have their balances. You understand? So whatever you use, don't forget that I said when you are doing your bank reconciliation, that all the items on the credit side or debit side of your cash book is cross-checked against your what? Credit side of your bank statement. And all the items on your credit side of your cash book is cross-checked against the debit side of the bank statement. Whatever that does not appear in the cash book or in the bank statement is the items you need to pull out to use your what? Your bank reconciliation. Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah. Retreat. Yes. 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 Special program. 450. That's 450. Okay. Let's make progress. Let's make progress. I'll give you a format for doing your reconciliation statements and what you need to add and what you need to subtract or less. If you are starting with balance as the cash book, what are the things you need to add? What are the things you need to less to make sure that you arrive at what? At balance you have in your bank statement. Let's do this. This is how I do this now. Write the format. Format for bank reconciliation. Format. Let's use method 1 now. Bank reconciliation. Then you have your naira here, naira here. Format. Method 1. Method 1 is using your starting with what? Balance as the. So what do? You say balance as the what? Cash book. Bring the amount. Now what are those things you need to add? You will add the following unpresented checks, add again credit transfer, add again interest, then add again what you call undercasting. Undercasting Then less the following uncredited check. Bank charges. Standing order. What we get is honor checks. Have anyone here? Okay, let's add the overcasting. Casting and bring it down here. Since it is less, anything in the bracket signify what? Subtraction or less. So here comes the balance. This will be this. Look up first. Look up first. Okay, right. Now, these are the items you need to add to the balance as the calculate. Are you with me? They are unprecedented trades. They are what the great transfer, direct transfer. They are what interest. Then the undercasting as explained. Then when you get all this, you add it together, add the two here. This plus this will give you one. Am I right? Now, okay. Then you are going to subtract the following. Unprinted checks, bank charges, standing order, is honor checks, and then what? Overcasting. Then once you deduct this, you get this amount. This balance now will be what? Balance as per what? Balance as per what? Balance as per what? Ah! Who said bank statement? 5 months. Balance as per what? I told you, close account to line. That when you start with the balance as per bank and cash book, you end at where? Is that okay? Now, this is very smooth and smooth landing. That once you start with your balance as per cash book, whatever you are going to have here, if you look at your bank statement, it's going to be the same. You understand? Using this method. Now, if you are going to do balance as a bank statement, we are going to tumble the equation. Why you look at me? Eh? Yes, that means that all this one that is down now is going to come off. And why all this one up here is going to come down? You understand? If I'm starting with the balance and the bank statement, it means that this one here, instead of lesson will be added. Why this one will now be what deducted? The next thing is that we will have my what balance as pay. That right. Fast. They are true. Move to the next side. Start with method two. Balance as per bank statement. I give you that one as classwork now. I'll mark you, score you now. If you are starting with, remember, I said that if you start with this one, the equation is going to be tumbled with somersaults. You understand? The up or down will go up, while the down up will come down. Is that okay? So how many do I give you? 2 minutes. You are through with that. If something like this come in the exam, you need to spend your 30 minutes on this question. The next 5 minutes, you just say that this is very cheap and find yourself. In fact, when they come to the exam, I'll just say, please, I gave me drink. I will don't put the buy for it. All right. Are we good to go? Are we set to go? It is better that you follow us at this point. Because if you miss your route, maybe waiting for us to come and look for you. Can I clean this now? Method 2. Method number 2. Method 2. Starting with what? Balance as the bank statement. What should we add now? Thank you, sir. Uncredited checks. Yes, sir. Bank charges. Eh? Is honored. Honored checks. What again? Standing order. What again? Casting. Is there any other thing there? Any order? Bring it here. Then you do what again, sir? Thank you, sir. Hear the voice of only one person. Unpresented checks. What again? Credit transfer. What again? Interest. Interest. Another one. Undercasting. So if you subtract this and you get this, what do you call this? What do you call this balance now? Thank you. Guys, chartered accountant. They are not chartered accountant. Not standard. This is the balance as a cash book. Is that okay? So, as simple as ABC, write it. I give you some time. Then they solved some question. I think we are doing with this. Let's solve some questions. You have the principle now. We will stand there. Okay. I erase this so that we can go into live figures, now computations. So okay, look at the question in your hands. Look at the questions in your hands. This one not in a tabular form, but I'm going to give another a tabular questions. But in case exams may not be one straight. Now, illustration 1. On 31st March, look at the question in your hands. On 31st March 1990, Okundele cash book shows what? A daily balance of 2,000 naira back that. What do you call that? Which balance is that? That's cash. Thank you very much. That's balance as per cash book. Now, his bank statement shows a balance of 2,270. Which balance is that one? Balance as per bank statement. Full stop. On comparison, the following were found. A. Check drawn amounting to 1,500 are not being presented for payment. What do you call that? Unpresented check. Thank you, Judge Accountant. B. A standing order of 600 to a club was not taken into what? Into consideration. That's in the office. But standing order has already been issued to the bank. And then C. Bank charges of 50 naira were entered in the bank statement only. D. A dividends of 300 was paid directly into the bank and not recorded in the cash book. C. Checks for 1,000 were entered into the cash book and paid to the bank, but had not been cleared and does not credited. Which one is that one? Thank you very much. And then finally, a customer, Bolaji, takes 120 directly into the bank without what? Notifying them. You are required to use method 1 and 2 to reconcile the accounts. Is that okay? Very simple. Very simple. Now, how do we go about these computations and the calculations and the preparations? All the necessary information will be given to you in that questions. Alright, it's very clear. So, using method 1, you are expected to do what? Start with what? Balance as per what? Cash book. What is the balance as per cash book here? 2,000 naira. Then you ask the following. What are you adding? Unpresented checks. How much is unpresented checks there? Yes. How much is unpresented checks there? 1,500. Beautiful. Now, what again are you adding here? have interest there? Yes. What do you have here? You have dividend, my friend. How much dividend there? 300,000 naira. What do you actually get? I told in the question that there was a direct transfer of how much? 120. Look at it. A customer abroad actually paid 120 directly into where? Into the bank without notifying the Fed. So that was what direct transfer. Is that okay? How much? Is there any other thing there? No. So what do you do? Please follow me. Look up. Write that thing. What do you do? You add it here. This is 0. This is 2. Am I right? This is 5, 8, and what? And 9. And what again? Is that okay? Is that okay? So what do? You sum it off. This is 9201. Is that okay? So we have, yes. Any friends? You don't understand what? Eh? This balance do what? Add. Is that okay? I just sum up this, give me this, and then add this to this and give me this. Is that okay? Now, we are saying that since we are working towards balance and the balance statement, what do we do? Let's what? Then you're going to check, then look at the question. Yes, there is what? There is uncredited checks of what? 1,000. Look at that. Look at E of that question. Checks for 1,000 were entered into the cash books and paid to the bank, and what happened? But had not been cleared and thus not credited. That's uncredited checks. Is that what? Your uncredited checks. How much? What again do we add here? And we are told that there was a standing order. 600 naira. And we are equally told that there was a what? Bank charges. Of how much? 50 naira. Is that okay? Let's add this. This will be what? 1,650. Am I right? Let's subtract it. If you subtract it, 0 minus this is what? 0. Am I right? 12 minus 5 is what? 7. 8 minus 6 is what? 2. 3 minus 1 is what? Is that the amount we have in the bank statement? So this will be what? Balance as per what? Balance. I do appreciate that. Now, if you look at the question, they told you that the bank balance was this amount. Now, you say the differences that you have, you add and minus, you will still arrive at the what? At that balance they told you that was in the bank statements. Is that the magic? It's not magic. That is beautiful. Yes. Go to snap. Why not snapping our baby? Yeah. All right. My assignment is that use the same information using method 2. Assignment. Submit it tomorrow morning. Bring it to my office. So, do you hear me? Which afternoon? Are you the one to decide for me? It's me that don't suggest. Do what I say you should do. This one, even if you see that the next few minutes are through with this thing now, is that a problem? So that is